alaikum. My name is Shehbaz Khan. I am a PhD scholar and a full-time faculty at Iqra University and a visiting faculty here at Iqra University. I've been asked to talk about sustainability and some concerns about the environment. So whatever I discuss here is based on research publications which we have gone through. One issue which we were talking about is paper waste. And what I've seen here is a lot of activists focus on how we should remove the use of paper instead of actually looking at other feasible alterations. The problem here is that when you make a significant change, if you are going for a drastic change, that is not easy to do. It takes time, it costs money. Going for a paperless environment is not as simple as it sounds. So as per a number of researches, we saw that paper waste itself is not the concern because paper itself is biodegradable. The concern here is how paper is made. The paper which we use is basically from virgin pulp, which is received from trees, and for that, basically entire rainforests are destroyed. So that is a concern. Virgin pulp is something which destroys rainforests. So there are alternates available. There are a number of countries which are actually doing that. When we talk about Pakistan, we have extensive resources as sugarcane wastages, we have peanut wastages, we have rice husk. I think someone is actually making rice husk oil now. So we have these things which can be used to actually convert them into paper. This does not affect the environment. Paper is biodegradable, and simply moving towards a paperless environment will not be an option. We should make do with what is easily doable. Another concern which we were discussing, I was asked to speak on, was saturation. Everybody is moving into cities. It's resulting in extensive wastages. It's resulting in too much pollution in cities. That is basically lack of planning. If you look at Karachi in the 60s, and if you look at Karachi right now, there is a huge difference. After the British, 10, 15, 20 years, Karachi was a metropolitan city. It was managed like a foreign city. They had wells all around which were used to wash streets. There were management implications. There were management principles installed which would make sure that every light bulb in the streets were replaced. So this is lack of management. People in Pakistan did not plan for the extensive population boost. They did not plan for migration, and I'm talking in reference to Karachi or in Pakistan, but this is a case in a lot of metropolitan cities. China is actually doing things in a much better way. They have introduced a concept of satellite towns, satellite cities. When a specific urban setting or a city starts saturating, they make a smaller city or a satellite city out 15, 20, 50 miles away from the main city. It's easily reachable. It's like 5-10 minutes drive from there. But that is one technique which is used to desaturate a city, and that actually helps solve a lot of problems. This concern, this option which we have about satellite towns, basically focusing on extensive urbanization, this helps us. This is what China has done. China has had one of the largest population in the entire world. So what they are doing is they are desaturating cities. Now they are building multiple satellite towns, multiple satellite cities near other major cities. This is one technique which we can adopt from them. Pakistan is adopting a lot from these Chinese. So why not do that? This is something which can mitigate this extensive urbanization. One thing which we do not understand is the environmental impact which we see is the compromise between convenience and the environment. The moment we go for convenience, we are compromising on the environment. 50 years from now, if we talk about Pakistan, if we talk about some villages, people would have their small tiffins. If they want to eat something, they would go to work, they would take food from their home. They would have clothes or some metal packets which they can use. Now, for convenience, what do? We go to fast foods. We go to McDonald's, we go to KFC, we simply go and buy some cookies, we can buy chips. It's convenient. We don't have to pre-plan for this. So what happens is we end up with single-use plastic. We end up with single-use wrappers. We buy cookies, they're preserved in specific films. They are single-use. They result in wastage. So the moment we pick convenience over the environment, problems start to happen. We cannot expect people to completely give away convenience because that is the pillar of modern civilization. So the thing which we need to encourage is a balance. We cannot jump towards unattainable goals. People recommend that countries should move towards solar energy. People should move, your country should move towards wind energy, they should move towards other renewable energies. This is a very significant step. It's expensive, it makes people change their entire lifestyles. So these kind of things, even though might be very desirable, but this is something which you cannot expect the masses to adopt. So we need to go for realistic goals. We need to go for goals which are more attainable. It should be a step-by-step process. Instead of completely eliminating or removing paper, we should simply go for more sustainable paper production. Paper is one of the best material on this planet. It's biodegradable. People are moving from polythene and thermopole to compressed paper packaging. If you used to buy cell phones, you used to buy consoles or hardware, they used to come packed with thermopole. Now they're being packed in compressed brown paper. So this is how important paper is. It's biodegradable, so we should go for making these things sustainable. This is how we result in a cyclical economy where waste from one industry is taken as an input from another industry. So this concept is very useful. We can learn a lot from India. India is actually working a lot on this. So we and the globe or other countries can really learn from India and China on these things. The second point here is that we are focusing too much on people now. Obviously, what we look at is our families. We look at people who are our friends, our colleagues, and our cousins, and brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers. The problem is we humans assume that the planet belongs to us. That is not the case. We live in a planet, we live in an ecosystem which is extremely fragile. When people are asked, okay, what produces the oxygen which we breathe, everybody says it's the tree. The plants are basically producing oxygen, but in reality, do you actually know, okay, less than 10% of the oxygen is basically produced by trees. More than 90% is produced by planktons. They are microorganisms in the ocean. So just to give you an idea, when we don't consider these factors, we pollute the ocean, we use single-use plastic, we are killing animals, we are not treating animals properly, we indirectly are affecting the entire ecosystem. If one ecosystem is damaged, the entire global ecosystem is affected. So if we start taking care of animals, we start considering them as living beings, and I'm not talking about our pets, I'm not talking about cats, I'm not talking about dogs, I'm talking about the macro environment. In Mauritius, in Africa, the dodo bird was extinct. More than 300 species have gone extinct in the last 20 years. How can we, believe, how can we even assume that we are looking for a sustainable future for us when we have extinct most of the species on this planet? So this realization is extremely very important. It's extremely important to keep that in mind. My recommendation as a researcher here is, treat people the way you want to be treated. Treat animals the way you want to be treated yourself. When we are treating animals, one advice is, this was written by a very famous researcher, assume you are being recorded. Would you kick an animal when you know that video would be shown to your parents? Would you do that when that is shown to your children? Would you kick an animal if you want that video to be shown to your friends and peers? You would not do that. So treat animals like people are watching. Treat animals like you are being recorded. That is extremely important. Because once you start respecting your environment, you start respecting your animals, you start respecting every living thing, then you are actually basically focusing, you're bringing your mindset to that situation where you can actually begin taking care of your environment. When you talk about the environment, it is not something very simple. It's a very complicated, I wouldn't say complicated, but it's much bigger picture. So for individuals like you and me, we need to start from smaller, simpler things. We cannot expect that we will rally, we will start burning things, and the government will start not using petrol products, they will stop pollution. That is not the case. Start with one step at a time. Do you have to use a car where 3 seats are empty? No, you can carpool. Have your friends go with you. Go for a bike. If you have to commute to a smaller distance, use a bicycle, walk. The problem with Pakistan is that our public transport system is not very efficient, but if that is not the case, you can use other transportation means. Instead of having a car to work where 3 seats are empty, get your friends to be with you. Additionally, stop wasting single-use products. Stop using single-use plastic. How difficult is it for you to bring something with you using a paper bag? Why not? All of us are carrying bags these days. Why not have a paper bag with you in your bag? Why not have a cloth bag with you? Do you have to buy everything in a plastic bag? So these are some very, very small tricks you can use. Change yourself and people will change when they look at you. You cannot expect the government of the world to change when you're not willing to change yourself. So start small and hope for big.